The spirit behind these regulations is to protect public services so that the GHA, so that our education system is protected with any influx that we might see as a result of the treaty, etc. So when the treaty was announced, we saw that the numbers increased significantly on applications for people to become residents in Gibraltar. And we have to maintain a very positive balance, in my view, between protecting our public services while sending out the message very clearly that Gibraltar is pro-business and indeed is open to business.
Well, you've said repeatedly that genuine economic contributors won't be disadvantaged. But how does a flat salary floor distinguish between someone for example, in a junior compliance or customer service role at a gaming company, or someone with no genuine link to Gibraltar, trying to use employment as a backdoor?
Yep, so the criteria is set at 37,500 because that is the average, but then there are discretions available to the Chief Minister if there is somebody that genuinely wants to contribute, or if there's a sector that falls outside of these limits, which would be in Gibraltar's economic interest to sustain that sector. However, one thing that we have done, we have carved out, is that if there is anyone 30 or under, and they have a job to Gibraltar, but they're under the £37,500 threshold, what we have said is that as long as the employer contributes the PAYE and social insurance as if that individual were earning £37,500, that individual can come and reside in Gibraltar, therefore protecting our public services because the contributions will be made, but ensuring that the employers can have access to the individuals that they need.
But the employer still has to pay the bill.
They have to pay the bill, but our social insurance system, for example, is one of the most generous and lowest in the EU. So in our consultation, because bear in mind that we have consulted widely on this paper, in our consultation we have found that employers are amenable to that.
Are you concerned that lower paid but legitimate roles at real Gibraltar businesses might be below that threshold of whether it's worth employing someone from abroad or not?
So there are numerous avenues in which an employer can take. One, like I said, if the individual is 30 or under and they're earning under that threshold, then they can use that discretion. You know, there's always the ability for the worker to become a cross-frontier worker, and there's always the discretion as well of the Chief Minister to exempt certain sectors from that threshold.
Has that discretion been used yet at all?
We're announcing the rules today, so no.
Okay. You spoke about consultation with the business communities. As of, for example, October last year, we saw that the GFSB was saying that they hadn't been consulted. How has the process been since, and what is the feedback that you've received from these organisations?
So we've had people sitting around a table, informally and formally. We've had the GFSB, we've had the Chamber, we've had stakeholders feed into this to this policy. Yesterday it was circulated more widely to the GFSB and the Chamber, and we will be seeking their further feedback and see if they have any concerns that we can address. As you saw a couple of weeks ago on the Viewpoint programme, the criteria that was set was quite well known, and this is indeed because we did have an extensive consultation with a lot of the stakeholders and the people that we believe would be affected in industry to gauge their views on how this would affect people moving to Gibraltar. And
what was the feedback like?
The feedback has been quite positive. So I think that people expected there to be thresholds, and I think that the threshold is slightly lower than they actually expected in some instances. So the feedback has been that they think that they can live with these parameters. Last night at the GFSB dinner we had some further feedback, and I have offered the chair of the GFSB to sit with the GFSB to go through that.
And finally, how does this affect Gibraltar residents who might be concerned that they might be affected?
So I think it's clear, and I think the Chief Minister has made very, very clear that this doesn't affect Gibraltarians at all. This is a criteria for anyone that's wanting to move to Gibraltar now. And what we have sought to do is we sought to be very fair to anyone that moved over to Gibraltar prior to this criteria being in place. So the criteria that is in place when somebody moved to be a Gibraltar resident at the point in time when they moved will apply to that individual. So to be 100% clear, Jonathan, Gibraltarians will not be affected at all by this criteria. Anyone who moved to Gibraltar before the 6th of October and is legally resident in Gibraltar will have the same rules applied to them as were in place at the point in time when they moved over. And as from the point when the regulations are published, at that point, the new regulations will be applied to people that are coming into Gibraltar after that date.